Last class we ended with a video. In that you found a grazing cow, hunting tiger, and a bear eating grass and fish. The earthworm was found to be feeds on debris and ants feed on the wastes. You found some microbes and fungus decomposing the humus also. Here we found that the mode of nutrition in organism changes. There is a range of strategies by which the food is intaken and used by the organism. Some break down the food outside the body before they utilize it, and some take the all inside their body and break it down inside their body. Some organisms derive nutrition from plants and animals without killing them. The nutritive strategy is known as parasitic mode, and all the above constitute heterotropic nutrition. The heterotropic nutrition is followed by herbivore, carnivore, omnivore or saprotrophs. The parasitic nutrition is followed by loranthus, cuscuta, ticks and mites, leeches and tapeworms. Since the mode of food intake change, the digestive mode or digestive system also change. In the case of unicellular organism, they intake food using the all body surface. For example, the case of amoeba. Amoeba take the food by changing the body. It is considered as the acellular organism, and they form some finger-like projection by extending their body known as the pseudopodia. This move around the food particle and intake that one. You observe this video showing the feeding of amoeba.
Ingestion. When a food particle comes near amoeba, it ingests this food particle by using pseudopodia around it. Digestion. The food is digested in the food vacuole by digestive enzymes.
As I told, as the complexity of organism increases, the different part of their body becomes specialized for doing a particular function. In the case of unicellular organism, as I told, the case of amoeba, the all body part may be used. But similarly, some other unicellular organism like paramecium, which is having a definite shape and possess special structures inside and outside the body. Outside the body it is covered with some sort of cilia. Inside so many organelles are seen. It is somewhat translucent organism, and you could see the movements and feeding mode. The ciliated organism is going to be moving, and you could see that a water current is created by the cilia towards a particular part of the body. That may be considered as the mouths. That is the ciliated pore, where the water is moved in with the lashing of cilia. By this lashing, water current is created towards the inner region so that some food particles enter into it. When the food particle enter, it forms a vacuole-like structure, which is considered the food vacuole. In the case of amoeba, after forming the pseudopodia, it take in as a part of body, and it also changes into the food vacuole, where it is digested and further it is absorbed. Just like that, in the case of paramecium also, after forming the food vacuole, it shows a particular mode of movement. The vacuole moves in a particular direction. As it moves, the lysosome found to fuse with the vacuole, which support them for digesting the food particle, and then it is absorbed toward the cytoplasm. Then there is another opening present in their body, which is just like the anus. The first opening was considered as the mouth, and there is a separate opening which is meant for removing the waste. Through that pore, which is known as the cytoproct, the waste is found to be removed. So, in these two unicellular organisms, the strategy of food intake change. Likewise, when we think about the other organism, higher organism, the strategy changes. Then, as the complexity of the organism increases from cell to multicellular or cell to tissue organ system, certain organs help the organism to take the food in and digesting with the help of the organs and organ systems. Now we may study the case of digestion in higher organism, particularly nutrition in human being. For that, we may study the structure of digestive system in human. Digestive system in human is formed of a long tube which starts from mouth to anus. When we study the details about the region, we could see that the tubes are modified into different structures in between, which is having different function also. First of all, we may study the structure of human digestive system. Then we may move to the importance of that particular region and what are the functions of that region, or how the digestion and absorption takes place, etc. First, we may study the structure of human digestive system. Digestive system. The digestive system in human starts from mouth. There is a common passage of food and air after the mouth cavity, which is considered the pharynx. From the nasal region, an opening reaches toward the pharyngeal part, which is considered as the nasopharynx. And the tube from mouth, which is known as the esophagus, found to share the common passage region. So this may be considered as that region. And here you could see the common region of food and air, which is known as the pharynx. And the upper part is known as nasopharynx. The food, after entering into mouth, moves toward the pharynx and cross the pharynx to enter into the esophagus. This one is the esophagus. But anteriorly, another tube present, which is found always open with the help of some cartilaginous ring, and this one is known as the windpipe. Windpipe or trachea. The opening toward the trachea is known as glottis. There is a chance of entry of food toward the glottis, as it is the anterior part, so that there is a flap formed of cartilage which will prevent the entry of food toward the glottis, and this one is known as the epiglottis. Epiglottis. Now observe the part of video which show the movement of food and movement of epiglottis, and how the food particle is allowed to move toward the esophagus and prevent from entry toward the windpipe or trachea. You can see that the food is passing toward that region, and the epiglottis closes the glottis region, so that the food easily pass toward the esophagus. Now from esophagus the tube moves toward the next region, which is the stomach. Stomach is considered as a J-shaped organ. It is a J-shaped organ, and just after the stomach there is a C-shaped curve, which is the starting position of intestine, small intestine, known as the duodenum. So this one is the esophagus, this is the stomach, and the next part is known as what? Duodenum. Then duodenum is a C-shaped structure where we could see two organs. One is the liver. Liver is a bilobed structure. And just above the position of liver, the esophagus moves through the diaphragm. Diaphragm is found to above this liver. So this one is considered as what? Diaphragm. The presence of diaphragm is a special character of mammal, and the liver is bilobed, which possesses ducts. The ducts from liver arises, and it will carry the secretion toward the storage region known as the gallbladder. Okay, so this one is considered as what? Liver, and this is the duct of liver known as hepatic duct. Hepatic duct, and this one is the gallbladder. Gallbladder. The duct from gallbladder is known as cystic duct. It joins with the duct of liver to form common bile duct, and it moves toward the duodenal region. Okay, then in this C-shaped curve there is another gland which is known as the pancreas. So this one is the pancreas. The duct from pancreas joins with the duct from liver and gallbladder, which is known as the common bile duct, joins together to form hepatopancreatic duct, and opens at the duodenal region through a bulged region and a valve. So this one considers what? Pancreatic duct. pancreatic duct, and this is the common bile duct. Okay, common bile duct, and this form the hepatopancreatic duct. Now the small intestine continue and finally enters into the large intestine. The first part of large intestine is a small circular structure which is known as the cecum. So this one is the cecum, and just lower to the joining place of the small intestine toward the large intestine, there is a finger-like projection known as the vermiform appendix. Vermiform appendix. The large intestine after cecum form the colon. Colon moves up and constitute the ascending colon, and then it moves toward the right side and it moves down, which is known as the descending colon. Descending colon. So this one is the ascending colon, and as it moves transverse, it is known as the transverse colon, and then descending colon. Then descending colon forms a J-shaped curve and ends with S, the last region known as the rectum. This one is the rectum. This one is the colon. Colon has three regions: the ascending, transverse, and descending. Ascending, transverse, and descending colon. Then this one is the rectum. Now let us think about the other regions of small intestine. First part of the small intestine is known as duodenum. Duodenum forms another curved region known as the jejunum, and then it continues and ends as ileum. Ileum is the part which joins with the large intestine. So after duodenum it forms what? Jejunum. Jejunum. And the last part which is highly coiled known as the ileum. Ileum. Then last part which is meant for what? The storage of feces just before removal is known as rectum, and the opening toward the outer is known as the anus. So the digestive system starts with the mouth and ends with the anus. Next to mouth, the pharynx is there, and the pharynx is said to be what? A common passage of food and air, where the food entry toward the windpipe or trachea is blocked with the help of epiglottis. Epiglottis is a cartilaginous flexible structure which prevents the entry of food toward the windpipe. Then esophagus connects toward the stomach, which is a J-shaped organ which is present on which part? Upper left portion of the abdominal cavity. Just above that, the diaphragm is there. Esophagus move in through the diaphragm, and the gland, two glands, liver, which is a bilobed gland, which is considered the largest gland in human body, is located here, and this duct of liver is known as hepatic duct, which carry the secretion bile and stored in gallbladder. The duct of gallbladder is known as cystic duct. Here, this one is known as what? Cystic duct. Cystic duct joins with the hepatic duct to form common bile duct, and the common bile duct joins with the pancreatic duct to form hepatopancreatic duct. Then it opens into the duodenal region. Duodenum is a C-shaped tube, which is the first part of small intestine. The second part of small intestine is known as jejunum, and the third part is known as ileum. Then ileum joins with the cecum. Cecum is the first part of large intestine, and it is a blind small saccular structure where the vermiform appendix is also present. Vermiform appendix is just below the joining place of ileum and cecum. It is considered the vestigial organ. What is the meaning of vestigial organ? Organ which was supposed to be functional and well developed in ancestral organism and present in new organisms or new generation, modern modern counterparts or modern organism as a reduced and functionless form. That is known as the vermiform appendix. It was considered as the cellulose digesting part in ancient organism. Then the second part of the large intestine is known as colon. Colon possesses three regions: ascending colon, transverse colon, and descending colon. Then a J-shaped part is also there. Then the end of large intestine is with the rectum, which is a storage region of feces. Then it opens out with the anus. So these are the parts. Then in addition to these regions, some specific points are also there, that is formed of valves. Valve is the one which support the movement of something from that valve and prevent backward. For example, between esophagus and stomach, here there is a valve which is known as the gastroesophageal sphincter. Gastroesophageal sphincter. Gastro related to stomach and then esophagus. Between esophagus and stomach, the gastroesophageal sphincter is there, which allow the food from esophagus towards stomach and prevent the backward flow. Likewise, at the end of stomach toward the duodenum, there is still another sphincter, which is known as the pyloric sphincter. Pyloric sphincter. Pyloric sphincter. The stomach has three regions. The first part, this part, is known as the cardiac stomach, and this bulged region is known as fundic stomach, and the region which joins toward the duodenum is known as pyloric stomach. So the regions are: first one cardiac. Here fundus or fundic stomach. Here pyloric stomach. The main region is known as the body. Okay. So the sphincter near to the pyloric stomach is known as pyloric sphincter. Then another valve is present in the region of small intestine and large intestine joining place, which is known as the ileocecal valve. This is known as what? Ileocecal valve. Ileocecal valve. What is the function of ileocecal valve? It allows the entry of the food after digestion and absorption toward the cecum and prevent the reverse flow. That is, as the digested and absorbed material enter into the cecum, it is considered the feces. The feces may not be re-entered toward the ileum. So the ileocecal valve prevent the reverse flow of the feces toward the ileum or small intestine. Then in the anal region, anal sphincter or sphincter ani is there. Anal sphincter. Or sphincter ani is there. And this is the structure of digestive system. Next class we may study the importance of each region and its function.